think you might have to put the handset, yeah, all of you. So this is just my little introduction. First of all, I would like to thank you, the sponsor, Talmax and Apsera, for inviting me all the way to Brazil. It's a very great pleasure for me, and it is actually the very first time that I'm in South America. So my name is Massimiliano, but you can call me Max, which is much easier, for to pronounce. I'm owner of the Oral Design in Australia, based in Sydney. And the topic for today, it will be veneers, which is the essence of the cosmetic dentistry. I strongly believe that when we talk about, cosmetics in dentistry, most of the people, they always refer to veneers. Even when we speak with the people, they are out of the dental field. And so this is my father. He's the one that is introduced me to the dental, as a dental technician. He's a great maestro, but he's also, for the people that they know about the oral design, he's the one that they had the idea to create this beautiful group. And together with Mr. Willie Geller, that he just recently passed away, unfortunately. So they, developed this group with all technicians and dentists across the globe, aiming, for cosmetics. This is one picture, of this beautiful group. Very interesting, very knowledgeable people, very great friends, a lot of great friends. Talk about, aesthetics, it's very important, but I think it's not just that we need to consider, in the daily work. So there's a lot of more aspects that they are very important. And I think probably one of the very most important part is the respect. First of all, respect for the patient, because we are replacing body parts. So it's very important, that we consider this is the one that is putting all the efforts and the money at the end, but also all of the other options. So to get to some level, we need to work with a lot of tools, a lot of options, and these are some symbols that I put together just to give a roughly idea. We need, professional tools, cameras, aesthetic materials, good product, whatever we need. But most important to me is the time. If we try to do shortcut, it's very hard to be predictable in the final result. So it's very important to follow the protocols and have a great plan, from the very beginning. I was born in Naples, and this is the south of Italy. And about 15 years ago, I moved back to live in Sydney, in Australia, where since then I started to use the Apsera product. So I don't know if someone is very familiar with those ones. And those are the ones that I was using for the majority. But lately, they came across with this beautiful zirconia, which is very nice, and it has a good, translucency, as well as a very good strength. It works very well for full arch implant cases, because it can keep a good strength, but at the same time, we have a nice incisal translucency, which is very hard to combine the two things. Usually, you might have to compromise the strength or the translucency. So I'm pretty happy with this product, as well as the lithium silicate. And this will be the topic, for majority for myself, today. I change the way to work, lately. In Australia, it's very hard to find a dental technician, with the skills. And in the last couple of years, I have to readapt myself in some conditions. And today, basically, I just work by myself. But I'm organizing, everything, outsourcing everything, even models. I don't design any kind of model. all my designs for crowns, veneers, full arch, everything, they're going to two Brazilian guys. So one is the main one, and is Fernando Herbes. He's based in close to São Paulo, and we're working together since actually 5 or 6 years now. It's a very long time. The another guy, Isaac Coimbra, that is also Brazilian, but he lives in Spain. They're both very great designers. And for me, they kind of like simplify my workflow, which I will show you in the next cases that I'm going to present. But this material is a very, for the people that don't use just yet, it really gives me peace of mind, because I feel very confident, in offering today monolithic restorations. So, but let's go back a little bit, with the veneers. Looking at the presentation this morning, we were talking about veneers on feldspathic, and in this case is a platinum foil, which is probably the very best kind of veneers that we can offer. But it's a lot of time in consuming. It's very hard to, actually you cannot do any adjustment if you have to. So you can either remake everything or leave it as it is. But if you want to achieve a good result, you really have to try to get the best that you can get in the first shot. Sometimes, of course, we have to remake, but the process gets very, very long. And so I'm just go very quick, because I want to try to be on time for the next speakers. So we have, I simplify also the cases, I kind of like shorten a little bit. So we have the veneers, and with the platinum foil, it's probably the very best way to firing ceramics. Because if we do the same thing on refractory, we know that the internal surface is slightly different. It's not, because the platinum is a conductor, so we have an homogeneous surface inside. So with the refractory materials, it's gonna be slightly opaque, and sometimes we can also compromise the final effect. And even more, it takes even longer, because by the time that we duplicate the models and the single dies, and we got bubbles, and then we have to do it again, it's a very long process. So a couple of steps, for the build-up for the ceramic. And cementation, always recommended, under rubber dam, always very dry. Just quick before and after situation. So we have a pretty good integration, and this is, of course, it's pretty good result for this kind of material. Just to have one quick shot, one of my favorite beach in Sydney, just south of Sydney, a couple of hours drive, beautiful, and they say that it was one of the widest one in the world. So it's a beautiful spot. You guys, don't know if someone has been in Australia already, but I definitely recommend to visit the country. So then we have this one, and I apologize for the resolution because it's kind of like a pretty old case, but it's funny and interesting at the same time. This particular one, we had one crown and one veneer. So the crown was in a PFM, and the veneer, instead of using the typical platinum foil, we used the Galvano. I'm not too sure if someone knows about the Galvano. So basically, it was kind of like electroplate, with the gold, and they used to use it for crowns. They tried to use it for crowns at the beginning, but it was very, very quick because it's kind of like 99% gold, very soft, and was not working very well for restorations. So then we changed the timing, and we minimized the thickness of the crown to 0.1, 0.2, similar to the platinum foil. So because sometimes we were struggling to make to adapt the foil on the single die, in this way, you could have done even like 10 or 20 units at the same time within an hour. So which was very, very good, very quick. And it's pretty much the same thing. So we just to build the ceramic around the Galvano. Then we remove it from inside. And then, yeah, we always have to try to match the PFM with the veneer, which is very challenging. Sometimes we are lucky, that we can get the, at the first shot. Sometimes we need to modify. But this one, it was pretty well integrated. And you can see, there's a good integration between the PFM on the 2-1 and 1-1 veneer. So at this stage, we're going to move on the digital dentistry. And that's where I started about 7 years ago using digital. And at the beginning, I was not doing like fully digital. So it's a combination between digital and still analogical. So I present this case with 10 veneers. That's the situation at the beginning. Using the DSD, some of the tools, from the DSD, it's more than 20 years. I did a course with Dr. Kochman, at the very beginning. And since then, we always use some of the tools inside the keynote version, the very first one. So we offer two options to the patient. And so we have a different kind of shape. She chose one with more. We chose one with more rounded edges, which is more feminine and it's more appropriate for female. Then we draw the lines, just as a reference for the midline and the occlusal plane. So we can see here the virtual mock-up. And then at this stage, it was printed the model, and I started to do a workshop, physical workshop on top of the model. Silicone key with putty key, simple, the two base, and reline with a light body impression material. In the pressure pot, with the water at 2.5 bars, just to get a bit of a good accuracy, in the shape and the details for the trying. So then we did a quick trying for the mock-up. Patient asked to shorten a little bit. And from there, we move straight to the build-up. So as I said, lithium disilicate with the build-up. And a quick before and after. Okay, so this is the restoration. It's okay, it's pretty good integrated. It's not perfect. I think, sorry, but I think it changed a little bit the proportions. It looks a little bit shorter, this image. But you can see it's not perfect in gingival alignment. Also, it's very hard, for us to work every day with what we want or what we wish. We always need to compromise and work what we have. It's hard to do. Sometimes you can get the patient, they accept the full treatment, with gingivectomy or whatever, sometimes orthodontic treatment. Some of them, they want to go very quick. Some of them, they refuse because for multiple reasons, financial reasons, or maybe they prefer just not to compromise, the biological environment. So from here, I just would like to introduce now the concept for the monolithic shape. Okay. The reason that I put this picture, this is a sculpture that is in my city, actually, Naples. It's about 350 years old. And they still try to understand what kind of technique did they use to make this sculpture. The artist, it was a kind of genius. But what is that means for us, this kind of picture? So I strongly believe that, of course, the skills that they had back then, it was amazing. Today, we're losing a lot because, technology is killing and flattening our brain overall, I think. And, but at the same time, we have companies that they're offering us a lot of product, which we can make it work. And if we think smart, we can definitely achieve a very good result. So what I want to say, if this guy from a monochromatic block, like a piece of marble, he came, with such a great piece of art, we should be able to do in a much easier way something pretty good. Any questions so far? Or? Okay, so and then now I would like to start with just a couple of cases, and the both of them in monolithic. First patient, it's a young guy in the 25 years old, pretty much. So first appointment, he needed orthodontic treatment. Likely he went, he went to the treatment. So straighten up a little bit, his position. And again, we just create some alignments for the occlusal plane reference. And then we start with the first digital design. So this was just for the mock-up. And on the trying, it looks pretty good. Shape, it's pretty suitable with his face, and he was happy with it. The only thing, of course, as a young boy, and especially in Australia, is getting a little bit towards the American style. They always ask for these super white veneers, super, I call it flat white, like the coffee. It's sometimes it's a little bit demotivating, but we have to do it anyway. So it's a part of the business. If you start to refuse, that's what I did at the beginning. I would start to losing job. And then I say, okay, hold on. Let's go back and let's try to do whatever they want. It's kind of like, respecting their wish, which I understand. And that's what we have to work with. So then with the trying, he was pretty happy. And then we decided, to follow exactly the same shape. At this stage, we process the veneers. I have two machines for wet, and I have two machines for dry, for zirconia. So those are the ones that I use for wet, and I'm not pressing anything anymore since last 2 or 3 years. So my protocols is everything is milling, because as a single operator, as I said before, I have to optimize my time. So I spend a lot of hours working in the lab, working very hard. Now I have to try also to get time for myself. And this is a good way to work. So basically, everything, as I said, I get outsourced. So we got the design back. Then I start to mill everything. In theory, I can process 10 veneers with no stress within a day. So if I got everything ready, like in the morning, I start very early in the morning, sometimes between 5 or 6. I start to print the models, I start to mill the veneers. Within, let's say, 4 hours, everything is ready. And then I spend the rest of the day to reshape everything, just to try to personalize the shape a little bit. Of course, from the digital design, we don't get, the best that we want. So with a little bit of touch and personal things, we can make it look a little bit better. As I said before, this guy was aiming for just whites, and that's why we choose LT-BL2. So for this kind of job, I always try to go with the LT because I need more opacity in order to have more brightness. The other way around, it's going to be a bit more natural effect, which I will show you in the next case. So this is the veneers, sitting on the model. As I said before, this guy is very good. I literally never need to adjust the contact point, so the process is pretty smooth and very quick. Then I do some reshaping, try to do a little bit of a texture before the crystallization. And you can see already the material start to look pretty nice, even if it's healthy. Then I start to stain, and I use this new staining kit still from Apsera. It's very nice. It's a very rich kit, and there are some colors which they are very beautiful. In particular, there's one red for full arches on implants. It can make a very nice effect, with this color. They have stainings and they have structures, so it can help to create more like a 3D effect, especially for the pink. Then I start to do my stainings. I try to keep always very simple. In the past, I was forcing with a strong effect, but I had some complaint because if they want white, they don't want many stainings. Even if they don't look, very natural, they don't, but that's what they want. And again, we have to try to make them happy somehow. So just go very quick, in 2 firings, I do my stainings. Then one with completing everything. The surface, it's rough. Of course, that's what we get, if we leave as it is. But then I spend quite a few hours in polishing the surface with rubbers, mid-course, and then use the polishing paste, 2 different kind of polishing paste. And you can see that the surface is start to look, a lot more smoother and also very compact. Try to reduce as much as possible some kind of these grooves as well as the kind of porosity. Even if it's monolithic, we can get some porosity sometimes. Yeah. The firings that I do always between 770 or 780 with a vacuum. And that's the result that I have. So, and that's what we have as a final result in the mouth. So we follow pretty much the step, from the very beginning. So we keep the shape as it was, and the patient was very happy, A little bit too bright, as I said, but that was his wish. These are my kids, it's probably the best thing that I have done. And this is the final case. So this one, it's exactly the opposite concept that I showed you just now. The patient, she was close to 60s, and she wanted just to replace the smile. This one is not really that bad, as you can see, but she just wants to straighten everything up and a little bit of brightness, but with a natural look. So in this case, I decided to go ahead with the HT solution, and I'll show you. I'll go very quick here. So we did 10 upper and 6 lowers. The process is always the same. I'm not showing you everything because we are running out of time. Just a quick temporary and the mock-up. And again, just to confirm the shape that she was happy with. Milled everything. And in this case, I use HT. I use HT because first of all, it's a minimal prep. So the stamp shade was pretty good, pretty decent. So it doesn't need to be covered, with no decoloration. It was pretty nice. But using HT, I have a chance to have a much better integration with the natural look. Minimal stains. And to be honest, I was surprised at the end when I saw the patient that she came back, for a review. I was surprised, the integration that I achieved, with this this solution. Again, so this is the veneers after milling, and this is straight after the glazing, polishing everything. Try to keep a little bit always a bit of texture. So that's how she came, and that's what we delivered. So you can see, and this is only, I think it was only 2 weeks just post-cementation. So you can see there is a brightness. Very interesting, is this material that even if I use HT, you can still see there's the value is pretty good. Usually when we use HT, in particular for posterior crowns, it drops the value and they look very bad, they look very flat. But with this option, I think we have, kind of brightness. They are HD BL3, but when we think about the BL3, which is in the bleach segment, we always think like something like super white. But in the reality, it's not really as white as we expect. And that's I think it's pretty good integration, considering the fact that those ones are monolithic. So basically, with my presentation, I just wanted to, emphasize the concept that if we think smart and we try to use the good product with the good protocols, we don't really need to spend too much time, going with veneers on platinum foil, but we can still get a very good result with the right product, yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much, this is the end of my presentation, yeah. So if you have any question, please.